Welcome to Sib Spot. Today's Reddit stories are from PettyRevenge. Story 1 is by Stinky Fish Bosoms. I made a dude get his nether region waxed on the first date after he lied to me. When I was in my early 20s and online dating was just starting, I made a profile and said I was just not going to be into two things: smokers and people with kids. Just that. You could be anything else, and if the chemistry is there, we are all good. I met this guy early in the morning for a breakfast date, and we are hitting it off averagely. No sparks, but no red flags. The date goes on for 2.5 hours, breakfast taking forever, until we are splitting the bill and he tells me he has a kid. I ask him if he read my profile to know that I was not interested in that, and he says, "Yes, I read that, but I knew that if you just spent some time with me, you'd see how great I am and you'd be willing to see past that." I was floored, as now he had wasted 3 hours of my life and was okay with being a liar. That was unacceptable to me. I said, "Well, I don't want this date to end, but I have to go across town to get my Brazilian, where they take off all the hair, including the rear end. Done in an hour. Want to come with me and get one too? It's not painful." A total lie, and I think it's attractive on men to be clean there. No pressure, but I'm pretty busy the rest of the week, and it's my only free day. He was all about following me anywhere. I told the ladies that this was his first time and that they should take everything, including the rear. He held my hand between a curtain and we both got them done at the same time. He screamed a lot, but was a champ and went through with it. I made him pay for his own, and never called him again. If you're out there, Chris, please don't lie to women on the first date. It's a really bad way to start a relationship. This story, though epic, I'm not sure if it's real. First of all, their name. I don't know many women out there that would name themselves Stinky Fish Chest Items. And I very much doubt there's ever been a man that would go get a Brazilian with this first date woman, no matter how well he thinks the date went. If the story's true, this person got lots of different reactions in the comments. Some people were like, "Hey, you go, you, that's epic petty revenge." Other people were like, "You're a horrible person." And then, of course, my take, as with number 3, I think it's fake. Regardless, it's a pretty entertaining story. They actually had to edit this and reply at the end and say, "And to all of those sending me messages calling me nasty things behind your keyboards, this is petty revenge. So you came here for this stuff." They're not wrong. Story 2 is by HungryAd7627. Drunkenly gossiping beneath my window. Enjoy hearing it played back to you. I live in an apartment downtown of a capital. It's still fairly quiet as the bedroom side of it faces the little port. By port he means courtyard. We share with our neighbors instead of the street. Well, it was quiet until one of our bad neighbors moved in. They own a dog that barks desperately all the time and 2 annoying little girls that literally scream bloody murder outside in the courtyard in the mornings, just screaming as loud as they can, seemingly for fun. And nobody stops them until we shout out the window for them to knock it off. I can't say I blame them, seeing how their parents don't seem to be able to raise them nor the dog, so trying to get attention by any means seems to be the thing. I honestly feel really sorry for the kids. The parents also love parties, and they love to take the party outside when the weather is nice. Smoking, scream laughing, drunkenly singing, and so on. And the courtyard has a lot of echo, so it's loud as heck. Point is, they're just inconsiderate jerks, but I don't feel like facing them directly as I'm not confrontational and they seem dodgy and unstable. The new thing seems to be not just keeping to the outside of their door, but rather use my side of the courtyard as an extension of their party. They or their guest from the party would come and gossip drunkenly underneath my window, which I always kept open, lest I drown in my own sweat. The first time I ignored it as I could, as it was only after midnight and a weekend. They stayed for like an hour, talking garbage about some people as I tried to shove my pillow deeper into my ear canals. Not much later, they do it again. The same people. WTF. I open the window as far as I can and slam it back. I almost saw their souls leave their body as they scurried away. There is peace beneath my window for some weeks, if you exclude screaming children, a barking dog, and their inside parties. Then good weather rolls around, it's not super common at night in my country, and garden party ensues. The gossip jerks roll around once everybody is drunk at 3 a.m. and they start babbling loudly beneath my window again, complaining about some people. F that. But this time, I was prepared. I grabbed my phone and immediately started voice recording. After a few minutes of their mean rants, I fetch my Bluetooth speaker, place it in the window, and start playing their garbage talk back at them, loudly enough for it to echo within the courtyard and reach the outside party. They shut up very quickly, and I notice the party noises and music have died down too. Nobody is saying anything. After I've played their talking for a bit, I am peeking around my curtains and see them panicking, trying to decide where the noise is coming from. But in their drunken state with the echo, they're not entirely sure where their voices are coming from. Giving up and going back to the party, I hear them speaking to the party guests in desperate voices, and it's clear to me now that they must have been talking crap about their friends as the voices answering back are getting angry. It turns into a full-blown shouting argument. Lots of alcohol involved, so no wonder. But this time, I do not mind the noise, and I cuddle my pillow, satisfied. The courtyard has been blissfully free of drunken gossip for some weeks now, and I suspect they won't use it for some time to come. If they do, I'll be ready. Some people are considerate of others, and some people aren't, and unfortunately, the ones that aren't are usually the super loud, drunk or otherwise intoxicated people who just love to party, and they also, quite frequently, seem to love drama, too. So, unfortunately, this person had a run-in with them. This is why it's really best to get your own place out in the countryside away from people. But sometimes you have to take what you can, and then you get stuck with rude neighbors. Our next story is by Frankenmower. My brother-in-law tried to get me fired, so I ruined his wedding photos. This actually happened about 4 years ago. At the time, I was married to my now ex-wife. Her sister Alice was getting married to Roger. But let's backtrack a bit so I can set the scene. It's a bit long, but bear with me, friends. I'd had a storied past with Roger, and we did not care for each other in the least, to put it mildly. He is a compulsive liar, mooch, and cheat, and had pretty much alienated Alice from most of her friends and family. He and I had a falling out over all this where I called him out on all his BS. In revenge, he said a lot of really horrible lies about me to the family and had done his best to try to get me fired from my job, as well as some other things I can't discuss. Really evil stuff. As a result, we had to pay a lawyer to send him a cease and desist letter, and we went no contact with both of them. I wouldn't even be in the same building with him for any reason, including birthdays, Christmas, etc. After a few years, I was still no contact with either of them. My wife would talk to her sister occasionally, which really didn't bother me. But I came under a lot of pressure from my in-laws to normalize things somewhat. You know, for the good of the family. Now, I get along great with my in-laws, and it was really important to them, so I gave it a shot. I would basically be at an event with them, but wouldn't socialize or engage with either of them. A few months later, they announced their engagement and began planning their wedding. My wife was to be maid of honor, and our kids, 6 and 4, would be a flower girl and ring bearer. Now, I was absolutely not in the wedding party, this you must understand, and I was perfectly okay with that. As the planning continues, I get word that Roger would like to buy me a suit as his way of making amends, so I wouldn't have to pack a suit of my own. I had plenty of suits, so this was a really odd request, but he comes from some money and said it was his way of trying to make amends for all the BS in the past. Whatever. Fine, I'll go along. I sent my measurements over along with my son's for the wedding planner. The wedding was in a different state, so I wouldn't be able to see the suit until we picked it up a day before the wedding. This concerned me, along with his insistence that I wouldn't have to bring a suit, so I packed my own suit as well. A nice charcoal gray 2-piece with a white shirt and blue tie. We fly to the state, check into our hotel, and I head to the haberdasher to pick up my suits along with my son and father-in-law, also not in the wedding party, but getting a suit. Turns out that Roger hadn't bought us suits, but had actually rented us the same cream-colored tuxedos as his side of the wedding party. Basically trying to dress us up like the groomsmen, despite not being in the wedding. I immediately saw why he didn't want me to pack a suit and had a good laugh at it, but said nothing and let him think he got one over on me. My wife also found this quite hilarious, and there we formulated our plan. The day of the wedding, everyone got dolled up in their wedding kits, champagne dresses and cream tuxedos, and me in my charcoal gray suit. When Roger saw me, he was cordial but looked a little irked. I found out through the grapevine he was absolutely livid that I didn't wear the tux, which frankly made my day. Now for the absolute best part, and cue the petty revenge. The pictures. Because I was close family, I was included in a lot of the pictures by default, but my wife, bless her heart, made a point of pulling me into almost every picture she was able to. When the pictures came back, it was amazing. In at least 60% of the pictures, I was in there somewhere and stood out like a sore thumb. 8 to 10 people, all dressed in the same cream and white, and me, in my almost black suit. Alice was so beyond angry that she had a near meltdown and insisted that everyone get together to retake the pictures the right way, which of course didn't happen, and this was 3 months after the wedding. So yeah, enjoy your wedding album with its almost perfect color scheme and coordination. This guy must have done some really awful stuff to him if a few years after this he's still holding a grudge. And he won't wear the suit the guy ordered for him. I don't know if I agree with this petty revenge, ruining somebody's wedding day and making a bad memory for them because you're still holding a grudge. He did some pretty awful things to him, obviously. Stuff that he can't even say, can't really discuss. Really evil things. Maybe it's deserved, but I would have to say it depends on other things he's done. And how much he actually tried to get him fired from his job. Holding a grudge years later and ruining your sister-in-law's wedding? I don't know. But if your wife was in on it too, I guess he must have done some pretty terrible things. Our stories for today have come to a close. Until we meet again, have an amazing day.